case study will explore the characteristics of attention hyperactivity disorder, known as ADHD. The case study's intended audience will be aimed at teaching professionals and will provide information regarding resources and recommendations for teachers who may notice significant differences in a child's development. Specifically, the case study will also introduce Apollo, a 5-year-old boy who was diagnosed with ADHD and is about to transition to primary school. The case study will then examine the educational implications of Apollo's additional needs that the school will need to address through the creation of supportive and safe environments that foster inclusive practices. In the year 2000, ADHD was included in the 4th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, published by the American Psychiatric Association's Catalogue of Mental Illness. In effect, ADHD took precedence over attention deficit disorder and the hyperactive disorder of children. ADHD is considered a neurodevelopmental disorder affecting children's self-control, marked by overactivity and excessive difficulty sustaining attention. According to the National Health and Medical Research Council, the prevalence of ADHD is estimated to affect as many as 11.2% of Australian children. Although teachers do not formally diagnose children with ADHD, teachers along with parents provide the critical information for the medical professionals who make the diagnosis, which is based upon observations of the child's behavior. According to the American Psychiatric Association, the diagnostic criteria for ADHD includes symptoms of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Children with untreated symptoms of ADHD may experience difficulties coping with learning. Therefore, classroom teachers should document behaviors that may be indicators of ADHD to assist in early intervention. Symptoms of inattention include a failure to give close attention to details or makes careless mistakes in schoolwork. Often the child does not seem to listen when spoken to directly. Often the child does not follow through on instructions. This failure is not due to deliberate refusal or not understanding instructions. Symptoms of hyperactivity and impulsivity includes fidgeting with hands or feet or squirms when seated. Often the child has difficulty playing or engaging in leisure activities quietly. Often the child blurts out answers before the questions have been completed. Arguably, a strict teacher may perceive a child as butting in, while another teacher may perceive the child as participating in classroom discussion. For Professor Robert Spillane from Macquarie University believes personal ecology generates the norms that define the symptoms of ADHD.
Professor Spillane, good to see you this morning. You say ADHD is a myth. You're not a medical practitioner. What basis do you use to say that ADHD is a myth?
No ADHD case is ever diagnosed on the basis of a medical sign. It's diagnosed on the basis of behaviour, and especially behaviour that annoys or upsets parents or teachers.
However, there is substantial evidence which suggests that ADHD is more than just a myth. Studies have depicted that ADHD is biological in nature and is related to chemical imbalances in the brain, specifically the frontal lobe volume, which is involved in self-regulation, has been found to be smaller in persons with ADHD. This cartoon demonstrates that parents of an ADHD child may at times develop feelings of isolation and loneliness. Fortunately, there are a wide range of resources and support mechanisms available for parents, teachers, and students that aim to increase the awareness of ADHD. Learning Difficulties Coalition is an advocacy parent support group in New South Wales, which provides information about learning disabilities, including ADHD. The Learning Difficulties Coalition website www.ldc.org.au provides information about seminars and workshops specifically for parents to keep abreast of changes and new developments relating to learning disabilities. Children's books can promote inclusive practices of children with ADHD and help children to understand the challenges faced by students with learning disabilities. What It's Like to Be Me is a non-fictional book for primary and secondary students where children from all over the world write about their disabilities. The book also promotes multiculturalism and self-determination by exploring how these children want others to see their personalities first, rather than their disabilities. The Learning Difficulties Australia website, www.ldaustralia.org, provides information to teachers who are dedicated to assisting children with learning disabilities through individualised instruction and effective teaching practices. Learning Difficulties Australia also informs teachers of upcoming conferences, seminars, and workshops across the Australian states. School staff, pupils, parents, and community members should be involved in developing and reviewing a whole school approach to student welfare. A whole school approach should consist of inclusive policies which centres upon values that reflect the principles of inclusion. The whole school approach should include rights and responsibilities, promoting respectful behaviour, and apply to all members of the school. A unified whole school approach should be understood by the whole school community to ensure a consistent approach to students, including Apollo's behaviour. Apollo's educational and behavioural needs will also be supported by the school's learning support team. The learning support team should consist of Apollo's classroom teacher, the school principal, the school counsellor, psychologist, and the support teacher learning assistants, known as the STLA. The learning support team, in conjunction with Apollo and his parents, must work together to ensure a smooth transition from Apollo's preschool to his new primary school. Recommendations that may assist Apollo's transition include Apollo, his parents, and the learning support team should engage in regular meetings so the learning support team is aware of changing developments regarding Apollo's interests, abilities, and strengths, as well as his additional needs. These meetings should also identify and consider ecological factors, such as Apollo's language and cultural background, to ensure the learning support team has a total picture of Apollo's needs. The learning support team should establish positive and collaborative relationships through ensuring the roles and responsibilities are identified among all stakeholders within the learning support team. Apollo School should consider implementing an orientation to school program to help Apollo become familiar with his new school setting and peers. An effective transition to school should also utilise resources available through Apollo School. These resources include the school counsellor, support classes, access to the Learning Assistance Program, which provides special education services, including teachers' aides, to support Apollo's learning difficulties. The establishment of an individual education program known as an IEP that is consistent with the whole school approach can help determine Apollo's current level of academic performance, social skills, and behavioural needs. The learning support team, Apollo, and his parents can then determine appropriate behaviour and learning goals for Apollo. Teaching strategies designed to improve Apollo's social and behavioural skills includes showing Apollo how to take turns when Apollo engages in spontaneous play or learning experiences, explaining to Apollo how others may feel as a consequence of his behaviour choices. In the classroom, Apollo should be encouraged to be seated with classmates who are supportive. However, outside consultation may be required by the learning support team if Apollo continues to have behaviour and social difficulties. Apollo's classroom teacher should also adopt the following recommendations and modifications to Apollo's classroom environment in order to support Apollo academically. The classroom teacher should incorporate Apollo's interests into the curriculum, may help to sustain Apollo's attention, provide Apollo with visual aids of tasks, may help Apollo's difficulties with listening and following instructions, give Apollo clear instructions for learning tasks so Apollo can process sequenced information. In accordance with the Disability Standards for Education 2005 and the Disability Discrimination Act 1992, all educational institutions must make reasonable adjustments for students with disabilities. An accommodation is an adjustment to the school environment. This may include modifying exams, such as extended time and assessments and assignments. Curriculum accommodations and learning adjustments must be responsive to Apollo's educational and social needs. This may include differentiating the curriculum. The STLA is also responsible for withdrawing Apollo from assessments or organising special provisions depending upon the complexities of Apollo's needs. Furthermore, Apollo's classroom teacher may need to draw upon informal observations, formal assessment reports, and Apollo's self-assessment of his educational needs when making adjustments to assessments.